So around this time last year, I got to come and visit you before everything really even started. But you got a year underneath your belt, and you're in. I mean, you're a certified veteran now. You've got a whole year. So what would you say over the last year? What all did you learn?
You know, I went into this really expecting a lot of what I see in city politics. So, you know, there's 7 aldermen. And generally y'all agree on everything, and everything you do affects every citizen.
Yeah.
So if you were to vote to repave Northside Drive, anything you do, it's a town city effort. And I kind of expected that. Like, I understand small town politics. If somebody tells me where they live, I can tell them who their alderman is in Clinton.
Yeah.
I mean, I know all of it. You go to the Capitol, and not every issue affects everybody. In fact, most don't affect everybody. So when you're talking about something, tidelands on the coast, you're not interested in that. Or, I mean, even hunting with dogs is a huge issue, and there's people on different sides of it. So you had to really learn, I mean, how to balance that, because you had constituents calling you for stuff that your other voters didn't care about at all. Where I'm just used to, we're pretty much all on the same page here. Like, we all want better roads, and if we pave a road, it really affects everybody, like not just your ward. Like, you're not fighting, like, I've really never heard you fight for Ward 3.
Right.
You know?
It's the city as a whole. We all, what can we do? But I guess too, one thing is that instead of it even being that dichotomy world of this or that, you've got North Mississippi, Central Mississippi, Coastal Mississippi, East Mississippi, West Mississippi, and so you've got so many things playing. I've never really thought of it that way.
Well, and you've got to learn all those areas. And people around the Capitol are probably tired of hearing me talk about the Delta.
Yeah.
But the Delta fascinates me. We've got to make laws and rules that work in the Delta just like they work in Greater Jackson. You know, so it's Sequina County. I've talked about this a lot. There are 22 people in the entire county that have a college degree. So they're having to manage a county with a tiny fraction. We probably have neighborhoods in Clinton that have more people than Sequina County.
Yeah.
So they're still going to do all the things, though. You've got to have a sheriff, you've got to have a city clerk, you've got to enforce, or a county clerk, you've got to enforce ordinances. So when we do something here, let's say that we say we're going to require a building person, a building permit person to do X, Y, and Z. Well, you're layering on somebody in Sequina County that's probably already wearing 10 hats. And you hear that from their supervisors. So, like, that doesn't work for us.
Yeah.
So it's a big balancing act, you know, across the state. Mississippi's a rural state. What me and you think of when we think of Mississippi, Clinton, Jackson, Pearl, Brandon, it's not what the rest of Mississippi looks like. You know, we're very rural. So you have to take all that into consideration when you're passing a law or dropping a bill that could affect, I mean, most every bill affects the whole state.
What would you say is the biggest lesson you've learned from year one? I mean, is it learning the state, or is there one big lesson that you thought, all right, I need to hold on to that and kind of move forward with it?
There's probably not just this one silver bullet that I've learned. Relationships matter probably more than you realize. Like, you know, going into it, like, you can't be a pain and get what you want, but relationships really matter. So when we are dealing with the coast, you know, I've got to know who I can go to and say, okay, are we for this or against this? And then I've got their back. And so then when I need sewer money to get Clinton sewer water out of Clinton.
So very much, yes.
You know, and I've talked about that a lot. Like, I was like, if they talk about what do you need, I mean, I need money for sewer. So that's a big project.
What would you say, looking back at last year, what are you the most proud of? That you got to be part of that session, you're the most proud of this. What would you say that is?
Well, just individually, I got a law done, which is unusual for a freshman many times. So we implemented the purple alert. And we may have even talked about this when you were here last time, but that did pass. So currently in Mississippi, there's only an amber alert and a silver alert. So, and they're still getting implemented. But prior to July, if a 20-year-old with a cognitive disability went missing, they would call a silver alert.
Right.
And what do you immediately think?
You immediately think that's somebody 60, 65.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Florida was the only state that passed it, so we took their law and studied it, and theirs is a standalone alert. It's only a purple alert. But we took ours and you can combine it. So now you could have an amber purple alert. So if you call for a 15-year-old that goes missing and it's amber purple, you immediately know, or the police know, that when they approach that 15-year-old, that they're going to behave differently because they have a cognitive disability. Right. So in one word, you communicate normally what would have been an asterisk on a police monitor somewhere saying this child has a diagnosis, XYZ, and it just really cleaned it up. You know, and you could have a purple silver, but now when you call silver, it really means senior citizen.
Yeah.
If it's a purple alert, it's someone with a cognitive disability. And we cover that gap from 18 to whatever we say a senior citizen is a little bit more effectively.
That's pretty good. That seems you're not having to go back and rethink in the middle of an emergency of, okay, well, what am I looking for? Mm-hmm. You immediately get to go right off the bat. That's amazing. I was really excited when that came through, and I thought, well, I'm really getting excited about little laws like this. But it's a big deal, and it affects everybody so differently. So going into year 2, what are kind of on your top list of pay attention to this for 2025?
Well, personally, I've dropped, for the second year in a row, I've dropped the anesthesiology assistant program. And the reason that's big for Clinton is at Mississippi College, they have a physician's assistant program. Mm-hmm. So they have agreed to immediately open an anesthesiology assistant program at Mississippi College, which will bring more students to Clinton. It'll increase our level of care that we can offer across the state. So it affects everybody. So that's one thing I will be championing, but it's a big deal to get something like that passed. It increases scope of work or changes scope of work. I met with some Madison County people yesterday, that's the other half of my district, and we were talking about how a bill becomes law, how long it takes. And
did you sing "I'm Just a Bill"?
No, I didn't, because that's not how it works.
Okay.
You know, I mean, on paper that's how it works. It's a lot more to it, and Philip Gunn has a great lesson in that. But Alice Clark dropped the lottery bill for 20 years before it passed. So for 20 legislative sessions, she dropped the lottery bill before it finally passed. And they call her, you know, the queen of the lottery. They've got a lot of cool references to her on that. She gets full credit for that.
So the everyday citizen that's sitting at home that, you know, my wife makes fun of me because I have the YouTube channel pulled up, and I'll watch the Senate, I'll watch the House, and kind of see what's going on and read the bills, and that's kind of, you know, the political junkie. That's what they like to do. But the average human being that's sitting home, what do they need to pay attention to this session?
Well, they need to figure out what's going to affect them, and they can jump in. The whole reason the purple alert came to be is because Micah Hartman wanted it to be, and she's a resident on the coast, and I knew her husband from college. So she helped champion that. I get a lot of feedback on this phone, emails, calls, things that matter to people. And kind of like what we talked about at the beginning, it doesn't affect everybody. But if it affects you, get involved, and you can start watching. You can go to the website and see what bills are getting dropped. You're going to watch it more than the average person, but there will be things that affect you. I mean, the legislature, so much comes before us. Mm-hmm. You know, like last year, changing the name of the W came before us. Yeah. Anything to do with hunting comes before us, you know. And I kind of kidded about it, but running dogs, like that's a bill that comes before us each year, whether they're going to continue to allow that or not. There was something on the coast that I got a lot of emails about. But it had to do with, they call some of their subdivisions a little bit different things, and they're not necessarily governed by an HOA, but an older agreement. And so that only affected a small amount of people. But you kind of got to be paying attention and really tune into your local legislator. He should be updating you. You probably see my articles in the paper. Mm-hmm. I'll keep you updated, and most all of us are good about keeping the constituents updated, kind of saying, hey, this is coming up. But watch the YouTube channel from time to time. It's fascinating. I don't know that people realize this, but we literally yell to vote in certain situations, and whoever yells the loudest is what passes. Yeah. You know, and I kind of thought that was almost a joke. Like I've heard about that, but there is a lot of times we push a button and a screen lights up, but there is a voice vote, and it's really whoever yells the loudest.
So you said it's very important to contact your representative, and there are many representatives, 2 different chambers that you can contact, different people that encircle where our front doors are. Some people are in South Clinton. They will have certain people. In North Clinton, they'll have other people. We hear it all the time. Contact your representative. Contact them. How much impact does contacting your representative actually have?
If you personally contact us, it has a lot. Now, I will get 200 copy and paste emails that somebody sent out to an email server or their friends and say, hey, send this to your representative. I mean, I pay attention to that, but like last night, I had 2 handwritten, typed emails to me, and I took the time to respond and think through it. So it really does matter from both angles. All the way from you may have an idea for a bill, or you may see a bill, and the person that contacted me last night was about my anesthesiology bill, and he's a CRNA, so he has a different take on the bill. And a lot of times, it may not be a situation where it's a yes or no thing, but they're like, this has unintended consequences. And if you'll just tweak, sometimes it's one word.
Yeah.
Literally, you can tweak one word in a bill. This is getting a little bit down in the weeds, but last year we introduced a bill to change the way sheriffs are paid. And currently in Hinds County, the legislation says that the Hinds County sheriff shall get a $10,000 stipend addition because our county's so much bigger.
Right.
Well, we changed it to he may get up to $30,000 extra. Well, that theoretically, that one word could have, if our supervisors didn't agree to at least keep the 10, they could have lowered his pay.
Right.
So you've got to be really careful. I mean, words matter. In a law, that one word, shall versus may, is a huge deal. So feedback's great. I mean, check in all the time.
Yeah, and I firmly agree that words matter. And so kind of my last question, what concern or what words or phrases will get a concern a little further? And then is there anything that people send that just kind of makes that contact dead in the water?
No. I mean, I really do. I read every email, but I think if you think through it, if you attack me from if the email is just an attack in nature, I mean, just human nature is your defenses go up. So, I mean, I think talk to them how you'd want to be talked to, reason with them, give them the facts, and state why you're interested in it. State your background, like with the anesthesiology assistants. Like if you're a CRNA or if you're already an anesthesiologist, they are very supportive of that bill.
Yeah.
So I hear from them frequently, and they're really just wanting an update. And they'll share a little bit they'll talk about hours and how long this person has this and the difference in everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know, there's probably not a silver bullet, and each of us are different. But I mean, a lot of my constituents show up at the Capitol. I've had plenty grab me in the hall and want to talk to me. And you can always get a note to us at our desk that you're there so we can come out and visit with you.
Okay.
So
I didn't know that. I knew that people could do that, but I didn't know that anybody could just send that down.
Yeah, you just go to the receptionist or the sergeant at arms and say, I want to meet with my representative. And if you don't know your representative, they'll figure it out and get the note to them. Now, there's no... I mean, we may not be there that day.
Right.
You've got a committee meeting and you're running it. Sometimes you're just not able. But it has a lot of times I'll text them because they'll give me their phone number. So I always communicate with them.
All right, so where can people go to find contact for those who represent them? Because again, we have different people who represent different parts of the city. Where can you go to find out who is your representative in the various aspects and how to get in contact with them?
Well, there's a website with all our contact information. For me personally, if you Google my name on a newspaper, my contact information is everywhere. But just so the people that are listening, probably you get a lot of Clinton viewers. So I represent most of Clinton, but then Stephanie Foster represents kind of the Raymond side, and then Bo Brown is kind of more towards the Jackson side. And then Hillman Frazier's our senator for most all of Clinton.
Yeah. All right. Well, any parting words that you would like to leave as before? Again, you've got a week under your belt. You've got a year from last year, a week. Everything's kind of kicked off. Any parting words of wisdom or anything to the constituents to pay attention to?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a great time to be in Mississippi. We have lots of money right now in Mississippi, and one of the things that you're going to see us debate, argue, fight over is how to lower your taxes. And what a great position to be in. Like, it's not so much can we do it, should we raise them? The debate will be how much, what's the time frame, and which tax do we lower? You've probably seen it's going to be a debate between income tax and sales tax. I think they'll both get play. And here's something as an alderman that you probably need to be paying attention to. If we lower the grocery tax, you have to make sure that we make the city whole at the end of the day. So if we cut the grocery tax from 7% to 3.5%, I mean, you think about what Kroger and Walmart and Grocery Depot pay y'all, that we got to make sure that we leave y'all whole. So there's another mechanism or another way that your budget's not negatively affected. And that's another thing. That's where all these bills have consequences. I mean, if you ask the average citizen, should we lower your grocery tax 3.5%? Every one of them's going to say yes. But you got 7 aldermen that are probably like, well, hold up.
Right.
That's great, but make sure we're made whole. And not raising red flags. Every legislature up there wants to make every city whole. And I don't think we'll lower the grocery tax without that same bill having a place to show how the cities, if you get $10 today, we want you to get $10 tomorrow.
Right. Awesome. I appreciate your time. Thanks for letting me invade once again. Absolutely. I wouldn't mind making this an annual thing because this is an okay thing for me. I hope it's okay with you.
Yeah, come back anytime.
All right. Best of luck this season.
Thank you.